This episode is sponsored by the all-new FreshBooks, where you can create and send professional-looking invoices in less than 30 seconds. FreshBooks is offering a 30-day unrestricted free trial to my listeners. To claim it, just go to freshbooks.com/RIP and enter Rental Income Podcast in the How Did You Hear About Us section.
Inspiring interviews with today's top landlords. This is the Rental Income Podcast. And now, Dan Lay.
We've got an awesome husband and wife team joining us on the podcast today. They started buying rentals on the side a couple of years ago, and today they're up to $36,000 a year in positive cash flow. Now, if you think about it, I mean, $36,000 isn't quit your job and move to an island kind of money, but having an extra $36,000 a year is a pretty significant amount of money. So I want to figure out how they did it because they did this in a relatively short period of time. So we're going to take a really quick break. We'll come back in 30 seconds and we'll meet Joe and Ann Francis Budz from Cleveland.
Are you on track to achieve your financial goals? Income-producing real estate is the most historically proven way to accumulate wealth and has created more financial freedom than any other means. Norada Real Estate provides everything you need to invest in the best turnkey cash flow rental properties. Our simple, proven system will help you create real wealth and passive monthly income. Get your free strategy session with our knowledgeable investment counselors at noradarealestate.com. That's NORADA realestate.com.
Joe and Ann Francis, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Dan.
Thanks for having us.
So I love it that you guys are a husband and wife team. How did this come about that you guys decided to do this together?
Well, it all started off by accident. We purchased a home in Bay Village, Ohio, and we were going to tear it down and build our dream house on there. And we were adopting a child from Russia, and we figured we'll just, we at the time it was going to be a year before we got the child, so we figured we would just rent the house that was existing on the property for a year, and then Russia closed their adoptions. And so we reached out to the tenants and they wanted to continue staying. And we saw how easy it was. And then Joe started running the numbers.
Yeah.
And it all fell into place from there.
Yeah, we saw that if we could continue to get high quality tenants and continue to get properties in the high end market that Bay Village was, we would be able to possibly retire in maybe 5 to 10 years. So that's been our goal, is now that we're keeping the Northfield property and we've added a few more single family homes to our portfolio and a couple flips, and it's just snowballed from there. We have a 4-unit that is in itself is generating about $1,500 a month. So it's been luckily, knock on wood, it's been a successful venture for us so far. We've got great tenants. And we're really happy with the direction that we're taking the business. We just want to possibly move into our next purchase of being a 10-unit and looking at that for more security as far as, if you have a couple units vacant, obviously that doesn't hurt you as much as a single family being vacant.
Right.
So we're excited.
Yeah, that's the truth. I mean, the more units you have, the more doors you have. A vacancy just becomes a smaller percentage of your portfolio, so it becomes less of a big deal when you have a vacancy. So let's talk about your portfolio. So you got that first property, and you're cash flowing, you're making some money. How long did you wait before you picked up your second rental?
I think once we realized that we were going to continue to rent Northfield, and we ran the numbers and realized this was a possibly a good direction to go for like a retirement plan, an early retirement plan. Mm-hmm. We then, it might have been like a year and a half after we purchased Northfield that we purchased another property in Bay Village that was a 4-bedroom, and we were hoping to rent that for $1,600 a month. But we put about $15,000 into fixing it up and determined that selling it and taking the cash and using that cash towards our 4-unit, which is what we bought after that, would be more lucrative at that point in time and produce us more cash flow. So we sort of flipped that one, and that was our first experience with a flip.
Yeah, so that's good. So that flip, you realized it wouldn't be a good rental. You made a nice chunk of change, and then you were able to use that money then as your down payment to buy your next rental?
Correct. That's awesome. The money. Yeah, that was the money we used towards the 4-unit.
That's great. So now with the 4-unit, was this building fully occupied, or did you have to find renters?
No, it was fully occupied when we got it. It was already remodeled. It had new plumbing, new HVAC,
everything.
Yeah, and those are the kind of things I want to look for. If I'm going to buy a property, I want it to be in really good shape. I don't want to have to be replacing hot water heaters and furnaces after I purchase it. So
right.
When we talk about purchasing a higher end home, that's sort of what we mean in respects to the way that its mechanicals are put together.
Okay.
I think as long as it's sound structurally and sound mechanically, your costs to maintain it are going to be significantly less hassle from the tenants as well.
How did you find that property?
We have a realtor that we sort of befriended and started working with, and he is also an investor. Him and I kind of became investors together, I guess. He's a really good kid and is a real go-getter. His little real estate business is taken off as well, and he hunts them down for us. He found this 4-unit for us and suggested that we take a look, and we did, and it turned out to be what I thought at the time was too good to be true. So I almost blew the deal because I continuously asked question after question after question. I think I drove the sellers nuts, but I'm lucky. They stuck with me and they answered all my questions and everything worked out. And I'm really glad because it ultimately wasn't too good to be true.
So give me some numbers on that place. Like, well, what did it cost and what are the rents?
Yeah, we paid $285 for it.
Okay.
And the total rent we're getting right now is $38.90 a month. So
wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, almost $4,000 a month. The cash flow on that particular property alone is $1,400 right now, and it's down a little bit from when we bought it because, well, the city of Cleveland, the school district, it continuously goes around and make sure that properties that are purchased are assessed from a tax value at the amount they were purchased at. Mm-hmm. So our taxes after a year and a half of owning it went up significantly.
Oh, wow.
And we can't obviously boost our rent on our current tenants that much. So we're eking it up slowly as rental leases renew.
Yeah, I mean, the taxes and insurance are two fixed costs that you have no control over. If they decide to raise your taxes or raise your insurance, it's just going to eat into your profit a little bit. And that's, there's really not too much you can do about that, I guess. But when you bought that place, did you get any information on the tenants? Because obviously the tenants are there, you can't screen them. So did you find out any kind of background on if they were paying or what their story was?
I did. We asked for a rent roll, and I asked also for a rental aging process or sheet. I wanted to know if the tenants pay late, how late do they pay? Mm-hmm. And the seller told us, they don't pay late, so I can't give you an aging sheet. So
that's great.
Interesting. So again, you can imagine I'm like, this is too good to be true. So when we inspected the property, we were able to talk to each tenant, and that was when we asked them what they want, what would they like as an improvement to the property. So we had to sort of assess the tenants on face value at that point, and they were all not students, but kids in their early 20s.
Yeah, they're just starting out.
Yeah, and they had decent looking cars and
young professionals.
Yeah, exactly. So we felt pretty confident that even though we couldn't do a background check on those tenants, that we would be okay.
Okay.
Especially since we were told they kept paying.
Yeah, that's the most important part, that they're going to pay. You guys have a couple of interesting things that you're doing to add some more money to your bottom line. I want to find out exactly what you're doing, but first I want to take a quick second and thank our sponsor today, FreshBooks.com. FreshBooks has been totally redesigned from the ground up, and it's custom built for exactly the way that you work as a rental property owner. They've got a couple of really great features that are simple to use and just really powerful. The first one is you can create and send professional-looking invoices in less than 30 seconds. This comes in really handy if your tenant doesn't pay you on time. So the old way of doing it is you would talk to your tenant and remind them that there's a late fee they need to pay, and that can be kind of an awkward conversation sometimes. Well, now you can just send them an invoice and show them, okay, here's the rent, you've paid the rent, but there's also a late charge. You need to pay the late charge. You email it over to them. When they're ready to pay it, they can click on a link, they can pay it right there, and you can get paid up to 4 days faster. You can also see when your tenant has viewed the invoice, so it takes away any kind of guessing games. So there's some really, really neat things you can do with FreshBooks. And of course, you can keep track of all your income and expenses, and it makes tax time really, really simple. FreshBooks is offering a 30-day unrestricted free trial to our listeners. To claim it, just go to freshbooks.com/RIP and enter Rental Income Podcast in the How Did You Hear About Us section. That's freshbooks.com/RIP, freshbooks.com/RIP, and enter Rental Income Podcast in the How Did You Hear About Us section. All right, let's get back to the show. So, Joe and Ann Francis, tell me what you're doing to try to make some extra money.
Yeah, my full-time job, my day job is I am a IT manager for a large law firm in Cleveland. So my background is electronics and information technology, and I was able to bring in an internet connection from the local internet provider here in Cleveland and do some high-end distribution inside the apartment complex. I ran Ethernet to each unit, and I split that internet up in a very secure manner with the proper routing and switching and firewalling. And I'm able to explain to each tenant the high-end nature of this internet connection and the secure nature of the internet connection, and ultimately get them to pay me for that connection as opposed to going out and purchasing it from the local cable company. And it's only an extra $35 a month, but it covers the cost of the connection. It covers the cost of our security cameras that I want to keep here on premise.
Right.
And it really adds a few dollars extra a month in cash flow.
Yeah, that all adds up. I think that's awesome. And everyone takes it?
Yes.
That's
so far,
awesome.
Everyone has. Yeah.
And you're also charging for laundry in the building.
Correct.
Right? So how does that work? You've got a laundry washer and dryer that's coin operated?
Right. So they go down into, there's a basement area. The lower unit, they can just access it from their unit. But the top three units, they have to go outside and around, which is not a big deal around here because a lot of the rentals around here don't offer the laundry services. And then they come down, it's coin laundry. And there's laundry cabinets down there so that they don't have to take all their stuff down, and they have, they're locked up. They have keys to them, and there's a bathroom so they don't have to run back upstairs to their apartments. So we try to make that location as convenient as possible. And I actually have seen, since we've done different things with that, with the laundry cabinets and lighting and whatnot, I've seen an increase in the usage of that area from when we first bought the property.
Yeah, I think that brings us an extra $25 to $30 a month, $35 a month for those laundry units.
Yeah, maybe sometimes maybe even more. It just varies month to month.
Yeah.
Right. Wow. Now, you mentioned about not always being able to raise rent, and you guys have been able to get some rent increases through by making the properties better, by doing some upgrades. Mm-hmm. What exactly are you doing? Like, how do you do that?
Well, we will go in and, for example, we'll add in blinds, even curtains to just dress it up, because a lot of times people are relocating from out of state. They just simply don't want to buy those things. We will add in, paint, new carpeting, just even in the common areas, we'll add in different things. It's amazing if you make the common area or even photographs, if you make it look better, then the tenants, they really like it. They want to be proud of where they live. And I want to be proud of my properties too. So I see a very positive response from that.
So you're making an improvement. You're making the common area better. And then once they see that you're taking care of the property, you're making it better, then you can maybe hit them up for a small rent increase.
Right.
And there's no resistance there.
Right. I feel like every time we raise it, I make sure we do something to make an upgrade somewhere that's affecting them that they all can see.
Even though it might be small, like buying a grill or something for the property. That's what we did most recently.
Mm-hmm. That's good. Yeah. I mean, they see that you care, and I think that tenants appreciate that. Now, tell me about your screening. So you guys have never, in the few years that you've been doing this, you have never had a tenant pay you late. And I think that's because you're doing a really good job of screening. Tell us what you're doing.
Yeah, we do. A lot of people look at the fact that the rent has to be 1/3 of the tenant's monthly income. And we do that as well, but we throw a second factor in there. And it sort of falls along the same lines as if you were getting a mortgage. It's called the debt to income ratio. So the back half of that ratio says all the tenants' debts cannot exceed 66% of their monthly income. That would include student loans, car payments, credit card bills, anything like that. So on the application, we have them fill out all their debts. And then I run that number. And if it looks like they're going to be able to afford to rent the property, then we'll go to the next step, which will be a credit check along with background. And that way, as long as their credit that they wrote on their application and the credit that comes back from the credit check service matches, we're really in good shape, and we kind of move forward with that tenant.
So you want them to have 33% of their money that's not going towards rent or car payments or any kind of debt payments, so that they have money to live. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Exactly.
Awesome. And no one's ever paid rent by following that formula. No one's ever paid late by following that formula.
Correct.
No,
That's
I think
great.
the late we had one person pay on the second of the month as opposed to the first. I think that was like the worst it was, but they legitimately probably forgot. And I reminded them, and then it came instantly.
That's awesome. So where are you guys going from here? Like, what do you see yourself doing as far as growing your portfolio from here?
We want to do a couple things. We want to get a 10 unit and continue that same formula, keeping the property high end, keeping the tenants higher echelon of quality tenants, and possibly also getting into some property management
For other people.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. Wow. That sounds awesome. Well, congratulations on putting together this great portfolio. You guys have done a really good job, and I know you're going to continue to be successful with this.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.
We'll be back with a new episode next Tuesday. My name is Dan Lane, and this has been the Rental Income Podcast.